This video, I'm going to talk about the 10 reasons why most new recruits quit in basic combat training. Basic combat training, also known as the initial entry training in the Army, it's everything but easy. There's a lot of reasons why it's difficult or challenging, and some of those reasons that makes it difficult or challenging is different from soldier to soldier, and it only takes maybe just one of those reasons for somebody to quit. I'm going to talk about the 10 things that I've seen most people quit. Some of them firsthand. I've seen one of my battle buddies actually quit, and I requested to get separated while he was in basic training. I'm not gonna lie, I almost did too, and I'm gonna talk about what the reason was, and I'm glad I didn't. So these are the things that you can expect, because I know it could be exciting getting ready to ship for basic training. You watch a lot of YouTube videos, you listen to a lot of people that have been to the Army or in the Army, but it's different when you're actually experiencing it for yourself. The first one is evident, is injuries. Some people get hurt while in basic training, roll their ankle pretty bad that they couldn't walk. And when you get injured in basic training, you get sent to sick call basically. And from there, the doctor is going to look at you. And here's the kicker sometimes. When you get hurt in basic training, they give you time to recover. Obviously, there's some treatment that you have to go through. My experience is that I basically broke one of my bones in my foot. And it was probably a month and a half into the basic training. What saved me was, since I shipped out in November, there was a block leave in December, 2 weeks of leave wherein you could go home for Christmas and New Year. And it allowed me time to heal. And I was able to continue, even though the doctor told me that it takes about 6 weeks for my bone to heal. So when that happens, the doctor would send the paperwork to the drill sergeant, or you give the paperwork to the drill sergeant and make that determination. What they do is sometimes they recycle you. What it means is that they'll wait for you to fully heal, and then you start the next class over. So basically, it's either you starting basic training all over again, or you're in the limbo until they pick up where you left off. I'm talking about the next class. And that time of doing nothing, just watching people train, it takes a toll on you. And a lot of people during that time just quit and just go home. I've seen that happen many times over. I mean, I couldn't tell you how to get over it, except to just get over it and be patient. Patience is the name of the game if you're in that category wherein you're waiting to get recycled or you got recycled. You'll have to just start over. Another reason why people quit is emotional stress or mental stress. See, basic training can be very, very tough on your mental health because they introduce stress in your life, which you've probably never experienced before. One of the toughest part, at least for me, was you no longer have control over your time, and the authority that you have to succumb to, surrender to almost 100%. That is tough. Especially, I joined a little later in life. I joined when I was 25, and then you got people your age, or some of them younger than you, telling you what to do, when to eat, when to wake up. That could be tough. And they just, say, screw it, I'm going home. I don't need this in my life. So this is the part where you have to get over yourself, because the only reason why you're going to quit because of emotional stress is because of you. And basic training is designed that way, because especially the red phase, they strip you out of everything you know. That's really what they say, taking out the civilian in you. And that's what the red phase is all about. It's a humbling experience. And a lot of people don't break through, they break during that time. Another reason for people quitting in basic training is their inability to adapt to the environment. And it's a legit reason, because imagine changing your entire world, your entire routine, things that you believe in getting ingrained into you. And some of them you don't even believe in, some of the process and some of the ways that they do stuff in basic training. In the discipline, where you have to wake up early in the morning every day, even if you're tired, they're going to force to wake you up and start stupid stuff. But then a lot of it is by design. Some of the training they do, they might not translate into combat environment, but the stress that they impose on you plays a role in it. So everything in basic training is by design. And some people are not able to adapt to that. Another reason why people get out in basic training is that exhaustion, sleep deprivation. They do tell you that you got to have at least 4 hours of sleep. But look at the living conditions too. Especially for the first week, at least for my experience, you in process for the first week where you get issued all your gear, your uniform, and you sleep in a bay. No privacy whatsoever. It's almost demeaning. You all sleep in bunk beds, and they tell you what time lights out is. You gotta pass out. You need to sleep during that time, and then they wake you early in the morning, 4 or 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes they wake up even earlier than that just to do stupid stuff, and then go back to bed for just a couple hours, and then wake up again. It's gonna take its toll on you. Sleep deprivation is something that a lot of people just can't handle. Because imagine being sleep deprived after all day of training in the field or in the range. Yeah, I understand why people just throw in the towel and just go back to the comfort of their own home or back to mama's couch. Speaking about home and mama, another reason why people get out, and I've seen this happen. One of my closest friends in basic training actually did this. Is he was really homesick. He was a father. He recently got married. He got an infant, and he couldn't handle being away from them anymore. Even though I tried to motivate them, saying, "Hey, man, it's only 10 weeks long. You're halfway there." And eventually, he couldn't handle it, and I totally understand. And he submitted a paperwork. He told the drill sergeant, I can't do this anymore." So they discharged him. He went back home. So here's another reason. There's a lack of motivation or personal desire to keep going. And because of the stuff that I already mentioned, compile that together. In some cases, it's gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back, wherein you forget or you don't care why you joined the army in the first place. And speaking about the why, that's also the time where you have to really dig deep inside and ask yourself and remind yourself why you joined the army in the first place. Because that why is going to get you through it. Or if your why is not strong enough, that's going to make you quit because of everything else that's been happening. And then you tell yourself you don't need it, and you can find another option to do whatever with your life. This one is where I almost quit myself because of my background. I'm Filipino, and I grew up in the Philippines. And when I was thrown into an environment, I'm talking specifically weather conditions that I'm not used to, my body was in so much pain that I almost quit. It was during the FTX, or a field problem, where you're out there basically camping. And it was, I would say, about November, December timeframe in Missouri. And the temperature was really cold, at least cold for me. To tell you the truth, I've never experienced snow in my entire life until I went to basic training. But it got so cold that my toes were frozen, basically. And it hurt so bad, and I'm thinking, I don't need this. The only reason why I didn't quit, I didn't throw in the towel, was the people around me. They're like, "Hey man, you're good, keep going." And really, for me, it was my foot. It was so painful because it was so cold. Environmental conditions can cause you to get off the ledge and say, "You know what, I'm done, I'm going home." Number 8, medical or personal issues that you did not know you had until you got thrown in that environment. Because when you go to MEPS, you have to disclose all your medical conditions. And if you need a waiver, then obviously they're going to submit the waiver for the doctor to get approved. But you can't catch everything in processing. You can't. And then when you go to basic training, you probably had an experience a long time ago that you might have forgotten, that's surfacing out because of the stressful environment, physically and mentally. Sometimes you don't even have to make a decision for yourself, because once that happens, you go to see the doctor and then they'll tell you, hey, you can't continue training. We're going to discharge you medically. So those are the things that you got to keep in mind. And some of the soldiers that I know went through this, they still wanted to stay in and continue the training, but medically they're not allowed to. Number 9, the military culture might clash on your own beliefs. I've never seen it happen personally, but it is a legit reason, because don't get it twisted. You can pick a different job in the army, but you're still a soldier. You're a killing machine for the United States of America. And this might clash on your own personal belief or religious belief. Some of them might realize this is for them, but some might realize, you know what, this is really not what I stand for. If it doesn't align with your beliefs, some soldiers quit in basic training. Here's the last one. Last one is self-discovery. In basic training, because you get put into this very harsh environment, controlled environment, you don't own anything at this point. You discover a lot of things about yourself. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. This is also when people discover that the military life is not for them. For that reason, they're out. It just happens. Those are the 10 reasons why most people quit on the initial entry phase of the army, when they're just joining the army. And if you noticed, some of them you can't control, like your medical condition. But for the most part, 80% of everything that I just said is all about you. How you can handle being away from your family. How can you handle stress, authority? How can you handle sleep deprivation? And then you alone in your thoughts, questioning yourself every day as it goes by. The good news is it's not forever. It's 10 weeks long. And then when you transition over from basic training to AIT, it changes, because at that point you're learning a job. You have some of the privileges back. And eventually when you go to your unit, it's basically almost just a regular job. But obviously it's the military. There are things that you still don't have control over. And as you grow in the army and you become in charge, you find yourself making those rules yourself, implementing changes. And then if you see something in your journey, in your career, and you have enough influence and rank, you can change that stuff. So here's my tip. Take it one day at a time, one enlistment contract at a time. A lot of people that I know that said they're going to stay in for 20 years got out. And some of them got out during basic training. The ones that didn't really know or didn't want to be in the army forever, but they had a strong why. The why is what kept them going. And your why might change from time to time as your priority changes. But remember your why. I'm going to close this video out with this. Once you graduate basic combat training, that's something no one can ever take away from you. Ever. People can take away your money, your freedom, your time, but they can never take away the achievement that you've accomplished completing one of the toughest training most people in America don't even want to do. If you're one of those people who enlisted in the army or is still in the army, I thank you for your service. This is the High Speed FNG. Stay new so you'll learn a lot more. I'll catch you in the next video.